It starts with the wind. Not the howling kind, but a low whisper that rustles the tops of the pines around our small homestead in Harmony Ridge, Georgia. It's quiet out here, peaceful most days. Just the hum of bees in the garden, the crunch of gravel under boots, and the occasional truck rolling down the dirt road. My name's Elijah Brooks. I'm 37, black, and a fifth-generation farmer on this land my great-granddaddy bled for. Folks around here call it the last black-owned acreage in the ridge. I just call it home. The root cellar sits half-sunken beneath a patch of trees behind the house, cool and dry year-round. It's where I keep heirloom seeds, canned goods, and a few family heirlooms no bank ever touched. To me, it's more than storage, it's history. A wind chime clinks by the porch. My dog, Jasper, stirs from his nap, ears twitching. He's been on edge lately. Won't stop sniffing toward the woods like something don't sit right. I figured it was a fox, maybe a coyote. But deep down I think I knew better. 3 months ago the McKinleys moved in across the hill. New money, big city whites with Range Rovers and opinions. Karen McKinley introduced herself with a lemon pound cake and a warning. "We're really into community standards," she'd said, scanning my overalls like I was a walking code violation. She smiled too wide. Eyes flat like polished stone. I didn't need to be told what she meant. Since then little things started happening. My mail got misdelivered. My tomatoes were picked clean one morning, the fence gate left open. I saw her once, in a wide-brimmed hat, walking her golden retriever real close to my property line. Smiling like she owned the view. I let it slide. See, folks like Karen don't come at you with slurs. They do it with clipped smiles, HOA complaints, and quiet assumptions. Like how she asked if I was the caretaker for my own land. Or when she told her husband, loud enough for me to hear, "We should petition for zoning restrictions before this place turns into a junkyard. My land's spotless. Has been since my mama ran it. But Karen doesn't see a garden and legacy. She sees a black man in the woods and thinks threat. Last night I found my cellar door open. Just a crack. No wind strong enough to do that, not with that iron latch. I checked inside. Nothing missing, but the hairs on my neck stood straight. Jasper growled low, staring into the dark like he saw something I couldn't. I told myself it was an animal. Maybe the wind. But this morning I found muddy boot prints. Small, narrow, and fresh, leading from the woods to the cellar door. I'm not the kind to jump to conclusions. But I know what's coming. I've seen this story before. And this time I'm not looking the other way. Did I start locking the cellar every night now? Double padlock. Chain reinforced. Still, I wake up every morning with a tightness in my chest like I forgot something, or someone's already beat me to it. On Tuesday I catch movement out by the treeline while feeding the chickens. Just a flash of tan fabric disappearing behind the oaks. Too quick to be Jasper. Too smooth. My heart skips. I drop the feed bucket and call out, "Hello?" No answer. Only the rustle of leaves and the soft click of a screen door slamming somewhere uphill. I walk the perimeter. Nothing's broken. No signs of forced entry. But the cellar door's covered in fine red dust that wasn't there yesterday. Footprints wiped clean. Deliberate. Careful. Back in the house I check the trail camera I set up facing the cellar. Motion activated. My hands shake as I scroll through the stills. Nothing. Or rather, someone killed the feed. The battery's drained and the SD card's missing. Someone had to open the casing. Someone who knew where it was. Someone who wasn't just trespassing. Someone who didn't want to be seen. Later that afternoon I spot Karen by the edge of her perfectly trimmed lawn, clipping her hydrangeas. Her dog barks once and sits as trained as a soldier. She looks up, offers that polished smile. "Elijah," she says, voice bright as poison. "Hope the chickens aren't too loud for the neighborhood." I filed that noise complaint more as a formality. HOA guidelines, you know. "We're not in an HO," I say, leveling my gaze. She blinks. "Well, not officially, but some of us believe in maintaining standards. Just because it's rural doesn't mean it has to feel like the backwoods." There it is. Wrapped in sweet tea and entitlement. The soft racism of the nice ones. "Funny," I say. "My family's been here since 1894. Yours?" "Oh, we're transplants. We bring a bit of modern order to things," she replies, eyes flicking toward my barn. "Especially with all the unregulated structures around." I say nothing. But the chill down my spine doesn't come from her words. It's the way she looks past me, like she's already drawn imaginary lines across my land. That night Jasper won't leave the back door. He sits rigid, hackles raised, staring into the dark. I grab my flashlight and step out onto the porch. The night air is heavy too still. My boots crunch against gravel as I move toward the cellar. The latch is still locked but the chain's loose. Slipped just enough to suggest it was tampered with. Something's not right. Something's coming. And the worst part? I think she's testing me. Seeing how far she can go before I break. But I ain't breaking. Not without a plan. Not this time. If Karen wants to play games, she just picked the wrong man to mess with. Thursday morning I find the cellar door hanging wide open. Not cracked. Jasper's barking wakes me before sunrise, and when I reach the cellar with my shotgun slung low, the lock's on the ground, cut clean through like butter. I flick my flashlight down the stone steps. The room's been ransacked. Jars shattered. My mama's preserves. Gone. Tools scattered across the floor. But it ain't what's missing that gets me. It's what's left behind. A bright pink gardening glove. Lying on the stone shelf like it was placed there. My stomach turns. I know that glove. I've seen it flapping in Karen McKinley's hand as she tends those plastic-perfect flower beds. Same shade. Same style. Real dainty. Not the kind you'd wear to dig through someone's root cellar unless you were bold or stupid. I march up the hill. She's out front, of course. Sipping coffee from a mug that says, #blessed, and scrolling through her phone like the world owes her good weather. Her golden retriever's tied up nearby, barking like mad as I approach. She doesn't flinch. "Elijah," she says without looking up. "Can I help you? You were in my cellar." She finally meets my eyes. A beat passes. Then she laughs. "I'm sorry, what?" "I found this on my shelf." I toss the glove onto her patio table. She glances at it, lips tightening. "That could belong to anyone. No one else has been on my property." "Elijah, I think you're confused. Maybe you misplaced something. Maybe an animal got in." "I've got a broken lock and missing preserves." "That ain't no animal." She sighs slowly like a teacher dealing with a slow student. "Look, I understand you're protective of your things. That's sweet, really. But maybe you should consider that your root cellar is an unsecured hazard. Someone from the community might have thought it needed inspecting." That's when it hits me. She's not just denying it, she's reframing it. Turning her trespassing into my negligence. "You mean you thought that?" I say. "I didn't say that. You didn't have to." Her eyes sharpen. "I think you're making a mistake, Elijah. And if you keep accusing me without proof, I will contact my attorney." That's how it is. She breaks into my property and suddenly I'm the threat. I walk away, blood boiling. But I don't go home. I drive straight into town. Takes me 20 minutes to find Darren Taylor, a retired sheriff's deputy and old family friend. We're not close, but he knows my people, knows the land, and most importantly, he knows Karen's type. "She thinks she owns the ridge now," he says, shaking his head. "I warned folks like her don't blend well with roots this deep." I tell him everything. The missing footage. The glove. The lock. The pattern. He listens without interrupting. "You got any other proof?" "Working on it." Darren nods. "Then let me help. I'll loan you one of my motion-activated trail cams. Better ones. Night vision. Hidden lens." I plant the cameras that night. 2 near the cellar, 1 on the tree line. I bury them deep behind foliage, impossible to spot unless you know they're there. 2 days pass. No sign of Karen. But on the 3rd day I wake to fresh tire tracks cutting across my side yard. I follow them. They stop right in front of the cellar. The door's been opened, again. But this time nothing's taken. Nothing's moved. Except for one thing. A sticky note slapped on the inside of the door. It reads, "You should lock this better. Some things are better off buried." It's not just trespassing anymore. It's a threat. A message. Karen's not trying to steal. He's trying to provoke. To push. To make me react. Because in her mind, if I snap, I become the angry black man. The menace. The one she can point at and say, "See? I told you he was dangerous." But she doesn't know me. She doesn't know this land. And she sure as hell doesn't know what I'm capable of when I've had enough. The cameras are rolling. And the trap is set. Sunday morning brings sun and silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that settles in before the storm. I wait until the church crowd is thick. When half the neighborhood is out front in their pastels and pressed collars, shaking hands and pretending nothing ugly ever festers under their smiles. I know Karen will be there. She never misses a chance to show off how integrated she is with the community. I pull up slow in my old Ford, engine rumbling like thunder through the parking lot. Folks glance my way then look away just as quick. Except her. Karen's in a pale blue dress, standing near the steps with a group of other newcomers. Her smile twitches the second she sees me. I step out holding a manila folder under my arm and Jasper close by my heel. Elijah, she calls like we're friends. I don't answer. I walk right up and stop just short of the steps. I want you off my land permanently, I say loud enough for the group to hear. No more games. No more midnight strolls. You broke into my cellar 4 times. Her face shifts just a hair. But she's ready, too ready. I don't know what fantasy you're living in, she says, soft and condescending, the way you speak to a child throwing a tantrum. But if you come here to threaten me, I will file a harassment claim. You really like talking legal when you're cornered, huh? I don't feel cornered, she says, lifting her chin. In fact, I feel quite safe, among decent people who know the difference between facts and fiction. He turns to the others. You see what I've been dealing with? He's been watching me, accusing me without proof, making me fear for my safety in my own home. I moved here for peace and I've gotten nothing but hostility. A few people murmur. A white-haired woman clutches her purse tighter. Karen doubles down, eyes gleaming. You know what I think? I think Elijah here doesn't like that the neighborhood's changing. That people like me are moving in and expecting standards. He's threatened by order. Isn't that right, Elijah? I let the silence stretch. Let her bask in it. Let her think she's won. Then I open the folder. 3 nights ago, I say, you walked 137 feet into my property at 2:12 a.m., wearing a gray hoodie and carrying a small flashlight. You stayed in my cellar for 12 minutes. I've got it on 2 cameras. She blinks. Last night, I continue, you left a threatening note inside. You parked your SUV across the south edge of my land. I've got your license plate in the shot. She starts shaking her head, lips parting to protest. I hold up the printed stills, crystal clear. Karen McKinley. Hood up. Light in hand. Her glove. Her face. Her damn smirk. You didn't know the new cameras have night vision. She lunges for the photos. This is illegal. You can't record me. I can on my property, which you trespassed on. 4 times. I turn to the crowd. Any one of y'all ever been inside her cellar? Ever had your name dragged just for existing on your own land? The crowd is quiet. Watching. Thinking. Karen looks around, realizing the tide is shifting. You think anyone's going to care? She hisses, voice low now, venom cutting through her mask. You think they'll believe you over me? I raise an eyebrow. I don't need them to believe me, I say, pulling out my phone. The sheriff already has the footage. Her eyes go wide. Deputy Taylor came out this morning. Said he'd be by later with a warrant to question you about property damage, trespassing and intimidation. I step back, voice rising. You came for my peace. You tried to make me the villain. But you forgot. My roots are deeper than your reach. Karen stumbles back a step, face pale and trembling. Her perfect world is cracking. And for the first time, she looks afraid. The crowd parts as I walk past, Jasper at my side. I don't look back. But I hear it. The silence breaking. Whispers. Doubt. And finally, shame. Karen doesn't show up to the town meeting Monday night. Which is strange, she's always front row. Always the first to volunteer opinions no one asked for, especially about property upkeep, safety, and what she calls community integrity. But tonight, that folding chair she usually plants herself in? I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. Sheriff Donnelly calls me to the side before things kick off. He's got a file in his hand, thick and stapled. He flips it open and hands me a copy of an email. It's from Karen, to the HOA board that doesn't exist. Except she started it 2 months ago. Sent out unofficial guidelines for how properties in our neighborhood should appear to maintain value. Most of the neighbors didn't even read it. Some laughed it off. But the language is bold, borderline militant, and deeply coded. No rusting equipment on visible acreage. No unregistered livestock. Restrict outdoor gatherings to under 10 guests. particularly if loud music is involved. And the kicker? Residents should report suspicious activity, especially from long-time tenants who've fallen behind modern expectations. You don't have to squint to know exactly who that was aimed at. I take the pages and slide them into my own folder, next to the stills of her breaking into my cellar. She's not just a nosy neighbor. She's been orchestrating a slow-motion eviction. A quiet war. And I'm not the only target. During the meeting, I stand up and ask for the floor. A few brows lift. This isn't typical for me. I'm known for waving from a distance, not speaking in crowds. But tonight, I've got something to say. I know y'all seen the photos by now, I begin. Some of you might have gotten a knock from the sheriff already. So I'll keep this simple. I place the folder on the community table. Inside, timestamps, screenshots, the pink glove bagged in plastic, even an audio recording from a mic I planted near the cellar after the last break-in, Karen muttering to herself as she rooted through my shelves. I didn't just get trespassed. I got targeted. Harassed. Framed. Gasps ripple through the crowd. I glance over at Mr. Leong, who nods slowly. He lives 2 houses down from me. A quiet man, Vietnamese-American, who's been growing vegetables in his yard since 1986. His garden beds were reported as unsightly last month. She tried to file a citation against Mr. Liang's greenhouse, I say. And last week I found a copy of her email to a realtor, asking how to legally challenge historical land deeds that make neighborhood renewal difficult. That gets their attention. Karen didn't just want me gone. She wanted us gone. Anyone who didn't fit her blueprint. She wanted our silence. Our land. Our legacy. The room goes still. Then a hand rises. It's Mrs. Jensen, the elderly white woman who's lived on the hill for nearly 50 years. She told me you were keeping illegal animals, she says, her voice trembling. Said she'd seen strange men near your barn late at night. My jaw tightens. She lied to get people scared, I say. Scared enough to isolate me. Scared enough to look the other way. Sheriff Donnelly steps up then, face grim. We've issued a warrant to search Karen McKinley's property. Early this morning, my team found several jars of homemade preserves that match descriptions from Elijah's cellar. Same type, same label. They were refrigerated. Clearly not store-bought. Murmurs rise. She told us she bought them from a farm stand, he adds. But the nearest one hasn't stocked those items in over a year. We also found a notebook, full of dates, property notes, and some very unsettling language. He pauses. She referred to Elijah's house as an eyesore with generational immunity. That hits harder than a slap. A woman in the back, Sofia Ramirez, single mom Latina, rises from her chair. She knocked on my door last month, she says. Asked me how long I was renting, even though I own my home. Said the neighborhood's meant for stability, not transition. It's all unraveling now. Like threads snapping from the seams. Karen tried to build a kingdom of whispers and control. But now her lies echo loud across every face in the room. And then it happens. The door opens. Karen walks in. Hair pulled tight. Eyes red. Skin pale as paper. She looks around, realizes what she's walked into. I can explain, she starts. You're going to want to save it, Donnelly cuts in. You're under investigation. We've collected enough to press charges. Trespassing. Harassment. I was protecting the community, she cries, voice shrill now. You people don't understand. He was a threat to the values. You mean your values, I say, stepping forward. Not this town's. Not this land's. And certainly not mine. She glares at me, trembling. But no one comes to her defense. Not this time. She turns to leave, but Donnelly steps in her path. You'll need to come with me. And just like that, the queen of the hill crumbles. No curtain. No applause. Just the cold click of handcuffs. The news spreads faster than wildfire. By Tuesday morning, Karen McKinley's face is plastered all over local outlets. HOA leader arrested for trespassing, racial harassment. The footage from my cameras, along with her own HOA documents and coded threats, leaves no room for spin. She's exposed. Caught. No longer a concerned neighbor, but a manipulator, a thief, and a racist hiding behind manicured lawns and manic smiles. By Friday, her house is on the market. A foreclosure sign sits in her perfect garden, crooked like the lies she lived by. And I sit on my porch with a mason jar of sweet tea, Jasper curled at my feet. The cellar's locked, sealed, and untouched, like it always should have been. Peace finally feels like mine again. But this isn't just about peace. This is about presence. See, for so long I let silence be my defense. I let their stares bounce off me, let their whispers roll past like wind. But silence doesn't protect roots from rot. You've got to stand firm. Let them see you. Let them hear you. That Sunday a few neighbors stop by. Mr. Leong brings over a crate of heirloom tomatoes. Doesn't say much, just nods and I nod back. Sophia Ramirez drops off homemade flan and leaves a note that says, "You reminded me not to shrink myself." Even Mrs. Jensen returns. She doesn't have a dish or gift, just trembling hands and a soft apology. I let her speak for me when she never should have. The moment stings, but it also heals. Because they see it now. Not just what she did, but what they allowed. What they ignored. Sheriff Donnelly gives me a call later that evening. Karen's facing multiple charges. Trespassing, theft, defamation, and even a civil suit from the HOA for misrepresenting authority and using fabricated bylaws to coerce homeowners. Turns out I wasn't the only one she targeted. Just the one who fought back loud enough. "You did good, Elijah," Donnelly says. "You made 'em all look in the mirror." I hang up and walk out back to the old oak tree my grandfather planted with his bare hands. It's gnarled and massive now, roots so deep the land wraps around them like a promise. I run my hand along the bark thinking about him. He used to say, "They'll try to scare you out of what's yours. Try to make you feel small so you'll hand it over. But don't. Not even an inch." I didn't. And I won't. Not now. Not ever. The sky turns gold as the sun slips low. Jasper lets out a lazy bark, chasing nothing in particular. And for the first time in a long time, the quiet that settles over my land? Real. No tension hiding in the air. No footsteps rustling behind closed doors. No notes taped to my fence. Just quiet. And peace. Earned. Deserved. My